Chapter 5. Student. Boy meets girl, as told by Truth Murphy. I have been going to the same cafe every day for at least a month now. Why? Because I have a huge crush on this guy who goes to the same place. I stumbled upon him by accident. Literally. I was walking over to a table of my friends with a cup full of hot chocolate with exactly 3 marshmallows swimming in it when I tripped on what can only be called air. I sort of have a reputation for being a klutz. I've been told it is an endearing quality, but I don't think people find me so endearing when I fall on them. Anyway, as I was walking to our table trying to look tall and thin and gorgeous, which was probably why I fell in the first place, being cocky, I tripped and fell right into the lap of Christopher No, one of the hottest boys in our puny little school. He moved to our school last year from Toledo, Ohio, and the majority of the female population in our school has been drooling over him ever since. I never got the chance to do so until I saw him at the cafe that day. You see, we didn't have any classes together, nor did we share the same lunch period. In fact, here in this cafe was the first time I ever saw him outside of school. Ever. As I landed onto what seemed like thighs carved by Michelangelo himself and spilled my newly purchased and smoldering hot cocoa onto my own arms, I shrieked. I think the worst part wasn't when everyone started laughing or the shocked look on Christopher's face, but the knowledge that had I just gone straight for my table instead of trying to strut past Christopher and get his attention, I most likely still would have fallen, but at least I wouldn't have fallen on Christopher. "I'm so sorry," I said, pushing myself up. Thank goodness I dropped the cup already, otherwise I would have spilt it on him too. Oh, what a complete disaster that would have been. But, much to my surprise, Christopher wasn't mad. He showed no signs of indignation. I had always been told that Christopher was only something to look at. He had no character, just another pretty face and not a nice guy either. I've heard rumors of him doing all kinds of mean things to girls he's been with, but in that moment, when my eyes locked onto his sky blue ones, I couldn't see him being anything but perfect. He helped me up and even bought me another cup of cocoa, this time escorting me to my table with his hand holding me just below my elbow. He did all of this without saying a single word directly to me, and yet I was completely mesmerized by him. How polite he spoke to the staff, how he waited patiently for them to get his change. Even after I sat down, I could still feel where his hand had been. My elbow felt warm there. When I turned around to sneak another look at him, he was gone. Ever since that day, I've been going to this cafe every single day at the same time. Sometimes I go with friends, sometimes I go alone, and just take a book. If I go 7 times a week, then usually out of those 7 times, I see him 5. But I don't mind if I don't get to see him. I still like to come here for their hot chocolate, the best in town. And even if I am there alone, I realize just how accustomed I have become to this spot. How familiar their different playlists and baristas were, and how they would smile and get my drink ready the moment I entered through the glass door. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this so I don't sound like a desperate stalker. I don't come here just because of my crush on him, but because he flirts with me too. The last time I came here, he was sitting on the other side of the room from me, and every time I looked up from my book, I would catch him staring at me, and he would smile and then look back down at his drink, return back to his friend's conversation, but still, I caught him staring at me, and that's not the first time. But other times he's done things like, one time, as I was about to leave, he ran over and held the door open for me. And another time, he came up to me while I was ordering and asked me how I was doing, just totally out of the blue. I hadn't even realized he was there that time. So, in conclusion, I like him and he likes me, and today I'm going to do something about it. As I sit with my ever-present book in hand, I slyly watch him talk and joke and laugh with his group of friends. He shoves a hand into his always tidy chestnut hair and pushes it out of his face. It falls right back into place as though he hadn't touched it at all. I would love to run my hands through it and twist it around my fingers. It looks like silk from over here. I stand, my mind completely made up. I start the great trek from my side of the cafe to his. When I'm about 4 feet away, I start to smile. His friends point in my direction, and he turns to look at me, his face confused. I hold on to my smile despite the worrying ache in my stomach, but I find it hard to maintain it when this tall girl, well, tall to me since I'm actually only 5'5", walks in, bouncing her nasty, obviously bleached blonde hair all around. Her skirt is so short that I could use it as a Kleenex, and her shirt so low that I'm not even sure there's enough material there to call it a shirt. She parades into the cafe and plants herself right onto Christopher's lap, giving him a long and audible kiss. It's okay, I tell myself. She's probably just another one of his many adorers, but it doesn't matter because he likes me, and any minute now, he'll push her away and walk over here and kiss me, and then we'll live happily ever after. Christopher stands. This is it. Says goodbye to his friends. Yes. Takes the girl's hand. No. And walks toward the door without even sparing me another glance. I run up after him and tap him on the shoulder. Hey, Christopher? I hate how small my voice is when I was so sure of myself just a minute ago. Yeah? He asks, his voice almost bored. He doesn't even bother to turn to face me fully. Can I talk to you for a second? He looks at the girl by his side and waits for her until she nods, blowing a big bubble, and says she'll meet him outside. What do you need? He asks brusquely. I'm taken aback for a moment. He's usually so polite. Well, I can't help but squirm under his gaze. Not so warm and inviting now, but scrutinizing and mocking. I just thought that you liked me. You know, with all of the flirting and everything. I've probably just embarrassed myself out of the rest of high school, but I'll survive. I have before. He chuckles and pats my shoulder. Guys just want to have fun. He walks out without waiting for a response, and I'm left there, feeling more stupid than I have ever felt in my entire life of 16 years. And the worst part is, this place isn't that big, and the acoustics are great. I'm about 99% sure that everyone in here just heard all of that. I turn around slowly, and people lower their heads and pretend to be doing something or having a conversation. Some don't even try to hide the fact that they just witnessed all of that, and I don't know which group of people is worse. I look to Christopher's table, and all his friends are either stifling snickers or smiling at me outright. I snatch my book and bag from my table and storm out the door, only to get right at the threshold before someone's calling after me. I wipe the tears from my eyes and turn to see one of my tormentors, a boy from Christopher's table. As he slides in between the tables to get me, his floppy blonde hair falls into his face and pokes out at random places. I don't like blonde guys. I always look weird beside them with my dark hair and skin. His tall, lanky body slides between the tables with ease. He's smiling at me, but it doesn't look cruel. It looks genuine. His green eyes are locked on mine even as he leaps. Well, it looks like a leap for me because in order for me to step with the same distance as he is, I'd have to leap over people's bags, purses, and dogs. He never looks away. That is, until he trips. He trips over a piece of string pulled taut between two tables. I glance at his embarrassed face and then back to where the string was just a second before, only to find it gone. That was weird. But weirder still is trying to figure out what in the world he could want from me after all of that. I've never seen him before in my life, and I live in a small town. It's not easy to not ever see anyone, which is why it was so weird to see Christopher only here. He looks my age, so shouldn't he be at my school? And no one goes on vacation to this town. Only the people who live here actually like it. Hey, I saw what happened. Didn't everyone? I interrupt rudely, not ready to discuss the situation with a total stranger, even if it is a cute stranger. This is just another guy who's looking for kicks and wants to use me to get them. I don't think so, buddy. Sorry, that guy was a real jerk. If I were him, I would have chosen you over that walking lamppost. I'm Ty, by the way. And you are? Not interested. I give back without a moment's hesitation. I think I've gotten rid of him with my standoffishness, but no. Here he comes, following after me like a puppy. Now, You said not interested. So do you mean you're not interested in my opinion, or my name, or your name? Is this guy for real? I stop walking and turn back to him. Listen, I begin, going for a nicer approach since he doesn't seem to respond to hostility. I'm sure you're a nice guy and all, but I just want to go home and read your book. How did he know that? Yeah, well, that's not going to happen because Ty, a middle-aged woman with dirty blonde hair and Ty's green eyes, calls. I suppose that's his mother. Funny, I have never seen her before either.